there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hausman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. I'm so excited to talk to him. He's the author of Tattoos, Not Brands, an entrepreneur's guide to smart marketing and business building. Super excited to welcome Clint White to Delivering Marketing Joy. Clint, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. A pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So I want to dig into this, the whole concept of tattoos, not brands. Can you talk a little bit about the book and what the business philosophy is all about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the big idea is that there's really only a couple hundred true brands in the world, and that's totally fine. But the instinct for small, mid-size, small mid-cap business, nonprofits, things that have a limited audience should embrace that and should not be afraid of thinking of themselves in that light. Okay. Brands are rigid. Brands are full of rules and are burned into our brains. Brands are a brutal thing. It's totally fine. It's okay to be ubiquitous and top of mind, but it comes with a variety of necessary things. Generally, being in the market for a long time, having a product that is ubiquitous or unavoidable, spending at least $2 billion in resources annually to stay top of mind, to force yourself top of mind, and then having an extremely sort of special or magical thing, which generally applies to a human. Maybe it's Michael Jordan or somebody like that. So if you are missing really any one of those, you need to think of yourselves as a tattoo, which allows you to be flexible, personal, narrative, and ultimately a choice as opposed to a imposition. Okay. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So, and I want to dig into it because, like, when you say, one is a brand, one is a tattoo, how can I tell what my business is? Like, is there a way to define your tattoo type?
Yeah, sure. I set out three types in my book: classic, contemporary, and custom.
Okay.
So custom is let me start with classic. Classic is the thing that almost, anyone would recognize anywhere in the world. Okay. Coca-Cola is a classic tattoo, brand in this situation. It's trying to do one thing really well.
Okay.
That's your business. If your business was sort of singularly oriented, that would be classic. Then there's contemporary, where you're generally doing something that's of the moment, something that is needed, in certain segments right now. And that's, akin to some of the tattoos you see now that are the Japanese style and hyper realistic and might be based on a anime character or manga or something like that. That's great as well, but trends always evolve. So you have to keep that in mind as your business and your growth trajectory evolves. And then there's custom, which probably is aligned with many businesses, where you're trying to do a few things at once. Maybe if it's a service oriented business, you're in a project as well as a retainer relationship, or for tech, you're trying to solve a variety of problems for someone through a relationship with their device or the internet.
Yeah. So those are the three. That makes sense. Okay. So that helps me. In reading a little bit about you, you've talked about the 4 Ps and how they can save your business and your life. By the way, I thought that was great. It can save my life too. So can you talk a little bit about the 4 Ps and explain that?
Yeah. So the 4 Ps concept is the marketing mix. Product, price, place or distribution, and promotion.
Yeah.
And what I've found in doing this for a long time is that this is a concept that everybody learns in business school, but not all people who start businesses went to business school,
right? But a lot of them didn't.
Yeah. A lot of them didn't, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There's this instinct to skip the analysis, the marketing mix analysis, which really should be your sort of your home base for anytime you're thinking about what your business means in the marketplace, because those four differentiators give you such great leverage to be seen as a good choice against competition, whether you want to lead, follow, or some combination of those variables. It provides this grounding that I've found to be a great way to help entrepreneurs think through what steps they should take to reach the goals that they're trying to fulfill.
Yeah, it's funny. This is totally off topic, but so when I saw the 4 Ps, a good friend of mine once said that he had a case of the 4 Ps and it was piss poor prior planning. And, and I think by skipping that step, maybe the 4 Ps kind of has a little 4 Ps.
Yeah, right. It definitely can lead to that. Yeah, there's a real thing that happens in the entrepreneurial world where you think that you're special and you don't have to do this work, and you don't have to do a competitive analysis, and you don't have to articulate your USP. And you're so hell bent on getting to market, and that idea that you have to win early and often in order to be successful is something that the idea of digital, so-called digital performance marketing has put into the minds of people. Even, I'm 50 years old and I see a lot of marketers not realizing that the basics are your best friend.
Yeah. Foundation is exactly right. You got to build on the right foundation. So That's great. That's really good. So final question for you. One of the things you've said is love it or hate it. You don't want to miss it. You want to give your customers the opportunity to judge you, and why that's smart. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. That comes from really the first campaign that I created as a marketer. I was an English major, no real training outside of this great book called Naked Marketing, which I bought kind of embarrassed, in the 1997 at a Barnes and Noble. And what we did with that campaign, which was for the Whitney Museum here in New York, was to position this exhibition called the Biennial, which was intended to really show what was happening in the world of American art every 2 years. So it's a massive mix of really sort of the moment ideas, which are difficult to express in a visual or sort of a way that can speak to what the experience is going to be like. So the marketing leadership and I came up with this tagline: love it, hate it, don't miss it, saying, you're intelligent enough to know that this is something you should see if you're in the, want to be in the cultural conversation. And you're also smart enough for us not to tell you how you're going to feel. But if you don't take the time and make the effort to be there, then you're gonna regret it, because this is something that is not going to be around more than a few weeks.
I like it.
So it's a sort of a blend of respecting the intelligence, working around the fact that it's hard often to relate what high level experience is going to be like in anything.
Sure.
And then finally, really to leverage FOMO and say, you're, one of the worst things in the world is to not be aware of what's going on.
Yeah. I love it. Well, this has been great. And, obviously, you love it, hate it, but don't miss it. Your book, right? Tattoos, Not Brands. Where can people find it?
Amazon is the main source, but if you're not an Amazon person, then any place that sells books, really globally, is offering it. And I'd love for people to read it and tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm right, or somewhere in between. But my goal is essentially to get this. It's a liberation, really, of you don't have to be a brand if you but think through why, and think through the pros and cons of insisting that being a brand is the only way to be successful in building a business. And I think you'll sleep better at night knowing that there's options.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you, Clint. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll have to do it again sometime. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks.
Be well.
That's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.